Welcome back, everyone. For today's video, we are going to be taking a look at game number 2 of the grand finals of the American Cup being held here in St. Louis, Missouri. Now, yesterday, I had a very big win with the White Peas in this 2-game mini-match. The situation is very clear. If Fabiano is able to beat me in this final game with the White Pieces, we will go to a dreaded Blitz tiebreaker. If I am able to draw or win the game, the entire tournament is over and I am declared the winner. So, let's jump right into the action. Fabiano has the White Pieces, and he decides to open with this move d4. Now, this move came as a very slight surprise to me. I actually expected Fabiano to play the move e4, but it's very understandable that he goes away from it because in this tournament alone, he's had something like 10 games which have featured this classic Gucci piano with bishop c4, knight f6, d3, and the move bishop e7. Now, Fabiano, having played this against me and Levon, probably just wanted to go for something completely fresh and away from the beaten path. So we get d4. I play d5, Fabiano plays c4, and now I play the move c5. Now, I'm not actually sure what the exact name of this opening variation is, but I like to call it the box because here both sides have pushed their pawns forward 2 squares, and we have this nice square box of the 4 pawns in the center. Now, this does not come as a complete surprise to Fabiano because I actually have had resounding success with this opening. In the candidates, I beat the Indian player Pragnanan Ha. In Norway chess last year, I beat the reigning, or I should say, the world champion at the time, Ding Liren from China. So Fabiano takes a pawn. I go knight f6, he plays knight c3, I take on d5, and now we get the move knight to f3. Here I trade the knights, and I play the move knight c6. Now the game up to this point is following my game against Ding Liren from Norway chess last year. We get e4, a6, and now Fabiano decides to play the move bishop e3. Now against Ding played the move bishop to e2, and I played the move e5 here, setting up a very dastardly threat. If white were to take the pawn on e5, there's bishop b4, pinning the queen, and simply winning the game on the spot. Ding would play the move a3, stopping bishop b4. I would go bishop g4, castles, rook c8, queen b3, knight a5, queen a4, b5, queen d1, takes, knight b3, rook b1, bishop c5, king f1, and after the move f6, I had a big black center. I had this great bash square for the horse, and I would eventually win the game. So Fabiano plays the move bishop e3. Now here I go into a 17-minute think before playing the move bishop g4. This move is a little bit inaccurate. In my heart of hearts, I knew the correct move was e5 anyway, setting up the same threat of bishop to b4. But because Fabiano was moving instantly and I saw a couple of lines that I wasn't so happy with, I thought, let's do something different and get Fabiano out of his opening preparation. So I play the move bishop g4 here, developing the bishop, targeting the horse on f3, but also lining up the idea of rook c8 to pressure this queen on c3. Fabiano goes rook d1, and now I play the move queen a5, get the trade of the queens, and here Fabiano plays bishop e2. Now, I wasn't exactly sure how dubious this was. I knew that white was better here in this endgame. There are many other variations where this can occur, so I knew it was bad, but I wasn't sure how bad. On the flip side, at this point in the game, I'm down nearly 30 minutes after my next think, but it's an endgame, so my move shouldn't be that hard to find. So I play this move e6. Now initially I considered the move g6 here, trying to fianchetto the bishop to g7. Computer actually likes this a little bit more than what I did in the game, but I was a little bit worried about something like bishop d4, f6, and maybe an e5 move, maybe bishop c3. This position looks a little bit ugly with this pawn structure here. Computer still thinks it's very solid after knight c6, but I wasn't really feeling it. So instead, I play the move e6. Now, Fabiano here would think for 50 minutes before playing this move knight to e5. You'll see his time goes from 127 all the way down to 43 minutes. The reason Fabiano uses so much time in this position is that he knows that I've done something dubious. This is not what he has looked at before the game. On the other hand, it's also a very critical moment because since we're in an endgame here, if black is able to finish his development, say I can get knight c6, something like rook e1, bishop e7, h3, bishop h5, black is very close to being completely fine simply due to the symmetrical pawn structure here. All the pawns are on the same files, so white has to take action immediately versus black's under development. So that's why Fabiano spends a lot of time. Now, when Fabiano spends nearly 50 minutes here, it actually made me feel very confident because what that means to me is that Fabiano is desperately searching for a big edge. He's not finding it, and so he just keeps burning more clock. And that gives me some confidence in the situation because it means that he's not completely happy. So Fabiano finally plays move knight to e5. This is what I expected. I throw in the check with bishop b4. We get bishop d2 here. Now Fabiano could have played the move king f1. This is what I was most worried about. After takes and f6, knight d3, bishop d6, knight c5, black can trade and play rook c8. And after b4, knight c4, white has an advantage. It's not clear how big this edge is after rook d4 and b5. Because if white goes rook d1, trying to line up the kebab on the 7th, I can start to tickle this rook on d1 and d2 forever. White is still better here after rook g3, but the show goes on. Fabiano instead plays bishop d2. I trade all the bishops off the board, and now I play the move f6. Now, at this point, I was already starting to feel very good about everything because, first of all, Fabiano is now the one down on time, but also the position is simplifying towards an endgame. And remember, in this game, I only need a draw to win the match. So Fabiano plays b4, which is pretty much the only try. If white moves knight back to f3, after king e7, rook d1, and rook d8, once again, symmetrical pawn structure, white literally has no advantage in the position. So Fabi plays b4 here. Now I take the horse, he takes my horse, and I go rook c8. This move is a very important move because if I were to say play a move like king to e7 here, white can play something like rook b1, and after rook b8 and rook c2, now white has infiltration to either c5 to hit the pawn or c7 to hit the pawn on b7 and the king on e7, and at this point, white is very close to winning the game. So I play rook c8, taking the c line. This is also important here because even though I have these two pawns stacked on top of each other, white cannot target this pawn from either this square on d5 or b5 with the rooks. So rook d5 would hang the rook. If white goes rook b1, rook b5 would also hang the rook. So the only way to target this pawn here is via the c file. So because I cover the two squares on b5 and d5 here, this pawn on e5 is actually not a big target. So we get rook b1. I go rook to c7. Fabiano plays king f3. Now, this move was an excellent move. Already here, I thought the game was very close to being a dead draw. But king f3 keeps the game going. Because if white were to play the move rook to b2, for example, I can go rook to f8 or even castles. And now whenever white takes the pawn, I can check. And after king e3, rook f takes f2. I'm going to draw the game immediately just by checking and making a repetition. So Fabi goes king f3. I play the move rook f8, king g3, and now I play the move rook f7, creating the double stack on the 7th while guarding this pawn on b7. Fabi plays rook b2, and here I play the move rook e7. Now this move is a very slight mistake. I should have put the rook on d7 here because now my two towers control two open files. Those of you guys who have watched my videos over the years know that rooks belong on open files. So instead I go rook e7. Fabi now plays king g4, I go king f7, and here we get the move h4 being played. Now again, at this point, I thought the game was very close to being a dead draw, but as I realize here, it's not quite so simple because I can't easily target these pawns on a5 or a2. The rooks on b1 and b2 actually guard everything temporarily, and white tries to start pushing his p on the king side. So here I go king f6. Now Fabiano plays the move king to h5 after a 30-second think, and this move is ultimately the big blunder, after which there are no chances for white to keep the game going. Now what Fabiano should have played here was a move like rook to b3 here, trying to bring the rook maybe to f3 to target this king. After rook c4, it probably still should be a draw, but after rook b4, rook c7, and now rook b2, white is guarding all the critical pawns while spying the pawn on b7, and the game is going to go on for quite a bit longer. Instead, we get king h5, and this is simply a blunder because after I play the move h6, the white king now is going to have to go backwards, and it's also going to help me set up this pawn structure after which white can no longer enter on the king side. Now, if white could get a position like this, for example, white is doing very well here because if I ever go g6, the king goes to h6, it targets the pawn, white can start to laterally move the rook up the board, and as you can tell from the valuation bar, this is very, very serious. Now, if I play a move like rook e7, again, rook f3, rook b3 with the idea of rook f3, and here after king f7 and g5, white is probably going to win this game. So Fabiano plays king h5 with that idea, but it's simply the wrong idea because here I can go h6, and now when Fabiano plays rook b3, I go g6, checking the king, and now the king must retreat. If Fabiano were to capture the pawn here, I have rook h7, and it's spaghetti-o time. The rooks guard each other, and they checkmate this white king. So Fabi has to go back. Now I go h5. We get king g3. And now after I play the move rook c5, you'll notice here that white no longer can do anything on the king side. Both the g4 and f4 squares are covered. The king can't enter. My pawn structure is very, very solid here. And now all hope of winning this game has left the building. So after rook c5, Fabiano plays move rook takes pawn here. He could have played something like rook to a3, guarding the pawn on a3, but frankly, after rook d7, with the two towers being super active and all the infiltration on the second rank looming, there is no realistic way for white to create any winning chances, which is why Fabiano decides to play rook takes pawn. I trade the towers, I take, he goes rook b2, and now I play the move rook a3. Now, white still has a better pawn structure here because you have 4 pawns and I have the double pawns on top of each other, but white simply can't target anything. I have this jumbo king that guards these pawns, it guards the pawns in the center, and this white rook is tied down guarding the pawn on a2. So I play the move a5. Fabi goes king h3, I play a4, and now he goes rook c2, and here I play rook d3. Now, Fabiano could have tried to play on with rook c7, for example, but even here, after rook a3, rook a7, takes, and g4, black is fine. I do have to be careful. If I were to say push the pawn, it's uh-oh spaghetti time for me. My king gets checkmated on f6, and I lose the game. But here, I can play the move takes, g5, h5, and now after a3, h6, there are many ways to draw, but probably the simplest is to go rook c2, h7, rook c8, rook takes pawn, rook h8, rook a7, king g6, and here this endgame is simply a draw. After takes, king f2, I run the king over, we get this position, and here white cannot win the game because I simply wait forever with the opposition. So this would lead to a draw, which is why Fabiano decides to play the move rook to c4. I go rook a3, rook c2, rook d3, rook c4, rook a3, and now the game ends by threefold repetition. The game is a draw, and this means that with the draw, I am the winner of the American Cup in 2025. I'm now 2 for 2 in this event. I won it the first year that I played in 2023, and now in 2025, I once again reign supreme. I'm very, very happy that I got the job done in classical chess. One of the ironies of this tournament is that when I played in 2023, I was the only player to have decisive classical games. That year, I won 2 classical games, and in 2025, history repeats itself. We get a bit of deja vu as I am the only player to have decisive games, and lo and behold, I have 2 victories once again, while everybody else drew their classical games. Now, for me, that means I end the tournament gaining a couple of classical ranking points. I think I will now be rated 2804. I gained 2 points from this very, very tough event. It doesn't really change anything for the overall situation for anybody who is wondering and thinking, well, am I going to be playing in the Canada's? Am I not going to be playing? It doesn't change a whole lot for me. I will make my decisions after Norway Chess, which is the next big event coming up at the end of May, which will feature Magnus, Gukesh, I think Arjun, and Fabiano, as well as Wei Yi. So it's going to be a very, very big event. All my decisions regarding trying to qualify will be decided after that event happens. But that is a month and a half away. For now, I'm just simply very happy to have gotten the win, or 2 months, I should say. For right now, I'm very happy to have gotten the win here in the American Cup, showing that I'm still capable of playing very high-level chess. So, I know this recap was a little bit short. The game wasn't super exciting. There was only 1 or 2 critical moments, but nonetheless, it is what it is. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this recap from the final game of the American Cup being held here in St. Louis, Missouri. We'll be back with some more great recaps and everything in the coming days. I may play a Blitz tournament tomorrow, who knows. But for right now, I hope you guys have enjoyed the show, enjoyed the recaps and everything else. So on that note, if you are not already subscribed to the channel, make sure that you smash that subscribe button below, and we'll be back very, very soon with more content here on the YouTube channel. Hope you guys enjoyed it and have a great rest of your weekend. See you soon. Bye.